What's up, guys? This is Boondocks, and today's part 2 of my Can They Support series, in which I'm going to be talking about Atlas. And can he support? Yes. Is he something you should pick over other frames? Probably not. He's very situational. And basically, the one thing that makes him halfway decent at supporting now is the new Syndicate mod, which you can pick up from the Red Veil or Steel Meridian, called Tectonic Fracture. And this is going to let you put up 3 of these tectonic walls instead of just 1. But at the cost, you're no longer going to be able to turn the wall into the giant bowling ball and knock over a bunch of enemies. But instead, you're going to be able to put up 3 of them. And you can actually form these little protective triangles where I'll just happily be safe sitting inside. Additionally, as you can see, I can walk through the walls, no problem, and actually melee attack through the walls. But enemies, they'll get stuck on the outside. So against infested, they'll clump up here while I'm nicely protected and then can use a longer reach weapon such as the War that I have equipped, a Galentine, Jack Attack, or Orthos, and attack the enemies on the other side of the wall. This is really good too on infested missions where you want to like wall off a hallway and the infested will build up on one side and then you can just swing your sword through and kill them. One other thing to note is while your weapons can't shoot through the wall, even if I was standing inside, as you might be able to tell, it's hitting the wall. So you can't stand inside and shoot out like you can a snow globe, but an interesting thing is with the Toncore, because of the splash damage on it, it'll actually instantly detonate every time you shoot the wall, and the splash damage will kill any enemies standing on the other side. So that's definitely something you can think about. One interesting fact about this is with the new sortie defense missions where you have the little dumbass that'll wander off and get himself killed, well, if you put the little triangle set up like I currently have here, he'll actually get stuck in the middle and be generally pretty well protected from enemy fire or melee attacks. And he gets stuck so he won't wander off anymore. So now if you put a snow globe around this, he's that much more protected and safe. And you don't have to keep throwing up snow globes all the damn time. So in order to make my walls a little bit stronger, I'm first going to obviously use the Tectonic Fracture Syndicate mod, but then it's going to scale off of both my power strength and armor. So for armor, I'm going to use Steel Fiber and Armored Agility. The Armored Agility is nice considering that Atlas is an extremely slow frame, but at only 15% increased sprint speed, it's not that noticeable. As you can see, it's only going to raise it by 0.03, so not that big of a deal. But for power strength, I'm going to use Blind Rage, Intensify, and Transient Fortitude. As far as duration is concerned, I'm not concerned because, well, the walls are permanent, so not that big of a deal. So because of that, I'm going to toss on a Fleeting Expertise, and this is going to let me spam a couple more abilities, as well as a flow, because Atlas actually has a pretty large energy pool. An interesting note, too, is this build lends itself really well to using your number 1 ability, Landslide, as this is going to make it so that your one-hit punch ability is going to do massive amounts of damages to enemies, but at the cost of your combo window being pretty damn short. So you're not going to be able to rack up the combos and get a massive amount of damage coming out. But as you can see, 850, and that's as an AoE damaging ability, coupled with the fact that you can spam that while standing on the other side of your wall and blast punch motherfuckers through it. So, something to think about. As for his other support build, that's going to use the other Syndicate mod, Orgaze. And what this is going to do is any enemy that's petrified by Atlas's Petrifying Gaze are going to drop loot. Now, as you can see, the base of this is only 50% chance of dropping loot from any petrified enemy, but you can actually up this to 100% chance by getting your power strength to over 200%. So in order to raise mine to 200%, I'm going to be using both the Transient Fortitude and Blind Rage. Now, you can mix and match different mods in order to get to that 200%, or you can possibly sacrifice a little bit of the percentage, but typically people are going to want you to be at least over 90 to be better than Necros. Now, aside from that, I'm going to be using Continuity to increase my duration, so that way petrified enemies will stay petrified for longer and therefore have a larger window for killing them. Finally, I'm going to use Streamline to try to make up a little bit of the lost efficiency from my Transient Fortitude. And in all honesty, thanks to the large energy pool that Atlas has, even with the 3 energy per second drain that I get from Streamline, it doesn't seem that bad. The one problem, however, is because your Petrifying Gaze is a channeled ability, having an EV Trin in your group to restore your energy isn't going to be as helpful. Finally, just to make my gaze go a little bit further, I'm going to throw on a stretch mod, and then Steel Fiber because he's just so tanky to begin with. I like having the extra armor for reduced damages. Now, to kind of show this off, first let me stack up my energy real quick, and then we'll just spawn a bunch of these little bastards. About level 55 seems appropriate. Okay, so for starters, this is what the beam looks like. As you can see, it's channeled, and you walk really slow when it's active, so it's definitely not as good as, say, Necros's just air swipe ability. But this also does have crowd controlling effects associated with it. As you can see, these enemies, even from a pretty decent range, are getting turned to stone. One problem, as you might be able to see though, even though they've been turned to stone, they're not dead, and therefore won't drop the extra loot. In order to do that, you're going to need teammates, or to petrify them before killing them. So, definitely something to consider. Wow, I can't believe I missed that. But thanks to having such a high power strength, they're going to turn to stone almost instantaneously and at a decent range. So, nice little crowd control to help you and your teammates out. And then as your teammates are killing the enemies, well, you get more loot. So, yeah, Atlas can be used as a support character, but there's just better characters to use. If you want to play defense against Infested, bring Vauban. If you're going to be going up against Grineer, Corpus, or Corrupted, chances are you're going to want a Frost. Even though the new sortie setup kind of makes the Atlas wall build a little bit better, it's still nowhere near as good as the other defensive characters. And as far as the loot generating abilities of Atlas are concerned, again, nowhere near as good as they could be. And because of that, definitely go with Hydroid or Necros. I would recommend Necros just because it's pretty much stupidity. You just sit there and spam 2. Or, sorry, spam 3. But until next time, guys, like, comment, and subscribe, and peace.